evening. It is Hobby Talk with PSA Canada for January 26, 2022. Mr. Luke, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. You guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Doing well, doing well. Mr. Brad, how are you this evening?
Awesome. It's been a great week so far. So exciting for the weekend.
Beautiful. Now I know, kind of we were chatting a little bit before we got started. We've got a couple of numbers we're going to share with some folks. I think it'll be fun. We've also got some updates on some fun stuff you've been working on this past week. Also, you guys are definitely flying stuff around because there's been a lot of work. A lot of work to do over in PSA Canada land, so we can get into that. So why don't you kind of lead the way here, Brad? What kind of updates do you want to give on kind of the stuff you've been working on, or stuff you've been building through some of the boxes and stuff? What do you want to share?
Yeah. I should say one thing too. We just finished updating the website with all the order statuses. So we did that a little bit earlier. We wanted to have it done because we have a busy weekend. So we just finished that off. And we've seen lots of movement. I always like doing that. Like we actually go in and copy and paste and check each order. So Sherry started at the bottom, I started at the top. We met in the middle. But it's nice to see that kind of keeps my thumb on the pulse so I can see what orders are moving and what orders aren't moving. So we've seen in the last 6 days a ton of movement. So that's always very, very nice to see. So yeah, so we had that, and I'm also doing some work where it was interesting. It was fun this week. I had a couple Zoom calls, and I'm doing some work helping out PSA with some of the overseas business that they're going to be conducting in the future. So that was interesting. We were going through processes, and I had a great chat with two people from PSA, the head of PSA customer service, and also Marlene, who's been with PSA for 5 years. We had a great Zoom call. It was very interesting. It was great. We went about an hour and 15 minutes, and we talked about things about dealing with customers in different ways. So it was very good. So it was informative for me, and I hope I helped them out a little bit as well. So
Nice,
yeah, so lots going on at PSA Canada. So.
Very nice. So I wanted to acknowledge here, Nico. Good evening, absolutely, and Logan here. Make sure to smash the like button. These are facts. These are facts. Thank you, Logan. Appreciate that.
That's good.
But yeah, it's good to get the updates and kind of see what things are going on. And it's one of those things where it's going to be interesting because we've talked about already how this year is going to be kind of an interesting one in terms of how things are going. And I kind of keep things an eye out for because I get another one of those emails saying that the Bank of Canada rate went up, and then like that's another element. And I get those emails saying, "Hey, those prime rates are going up again." It's like, "Yep, I know." It's just like in the business I'm in, it's like as soon as I get the email, I'm like, the interest rate has gone up again. But we'll see how that plays out in the rest of the year. Now, question for you. We did chat a little bit about it. You have gotten some numbers that I think are kind of fun. So I know we've got about double-digit folks kind of in the chat. So those of you in the chat who kind of sit back idle, it's an opportunity for you to play a little interactive game with us. We're going to have a little fun with this. Brad has some numbers pertaining to the stuff that PSA Canada submitted. Now, we can share a little bit of a breakdown in terms of sports. Now, spoiler, hockey's the highest. However, maybe what would be a little bit interesting is it a percentage breakdown, Brad, or how does it
percentage breakdown? Yeah,
beautiful. So let's all assume that hockey's the highest. However, in terms of that, how much? Like, what percentage would you guys guess would be hockey as pertains to? Now, don't forget, I will throw out there, and this is even without the cheese stringamon. Don't forget, Pokemon was strong. There's going to be this Pokemon element. So the question is, we assume hockey's the highest. What percentage of the submissions that PSA Canada received this past year is hockey?
I say 48.
48%? All right. I'm curious to see. I'm going to go like 65. I'm going to go like a pretty strong total, but at the same time, I got to leave some room for Cheese Stringamon. Cheese Stringamon, it's probably going to be a pretty strong one because I know they were getting some pretty solid ones, so we'll see what kind of plays out. But I'd like to get some guesses from folks in the chat there. If you want to throw in the number that you think, I'd be curious to see. Again, hockey is the biggest one. What percentage of the total that they took in do you think? So Dave's kind of with me on 65%. Logan's a little bit higher at 68. All right. And then Yannick here is in at 77. And good evening, Dave, and good evening, Yannick. Absolutely. So strong numbers. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes here while we just chat. Take a stab at it. Like we're just playing a game for fun. Just out of curiosity, what would you think? How hockey heavy are the submissions? Again, like I said, I gave you just a hint to be like, I don't know what the number is, just to be clear. But I'm saying, understand that Pokemon had a lot of submissions. It's pretty strong. So there's going to be some of it. Nico was kind of enjoying himself a little bit with that one. I know what you're doing. I see you. I see you. So you got the little smiley face. I see you. I see what you did. Doug's got 61%. So a lot of folks are kind of hovering in that 60s range. I like that. I like that. I'm with you. I
And
think
I'll
it's
say,
interesting.
I honestly, I just got this. Well, I got it yesterday, and I wanted to do it tonight. And I never said anything to Carlos. I didn't say anything to Luke. No one has any of the information yet. So
Very nice, very nice. So we'll give you guys a couple more minutes here just while we chat a little bit, but I'm getting some good guesses. Like we've got a pretty good range of guesses here, so we'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll reveal the answer here.
Mhm.
So a couple of things I was thinking about, and obviously with the industry's in a weird spot because I just wanted to start off with a broad topic here. The industry's in a weird spot because stuff's going on. You can kind of see it, and I feel like a lot of things have already kind of solidified. And I'll throw this one in because even though it's PSA Canada, I like to talk about the broader industry because I think it's good to have that. I think it was interesting. It wasn't really an announcement, but it was kind of a statement. CSG has kind of solidified their pricing structure, and I think very competitively. I don't know if it's going to help. Like it's one of those things that they've been kind of in an interesting spot where they're kind of are they are where they are. But I will say, I think it's cool that their bulk rate is very competitively at 12 US, which I think is a very strong offering. I think it's very solid. And they've kind of simplified it in their own sense, similar to the way PSA decided to do its simplification structure, where they like these clear delineated levels. Some of them are a little bit faster, and there's some good limit. I like the competition aspect of it. I do think PSA, I believe based on what they've said, I think they're going to hold firm at where they are at least for a while. And I think the lever they have is whatever specials they decide to do. I don't think anything's going to kick in until February, but we are approaching February. So this is where I think it's going to be interesting. It's just a question. Brad, do you think you get like a random email coming up in maybe about a week or so? Go, hey, Brad, about February. This is just me guessing. Like I'm just spitballing here. Any thoughts on that?
yeah, I think about it too. And trust me, in all my conversations I've had this week, I always try to get as much information as I can. And that's one that I absolutely have not got a snippet on. I didn't get anything. So I try to, my own personal thoughts, I feel to me, mid February towards the end of February is when you're going to see some sort of a special come out from PSA. And yeah, that's my guess, but that's with no inside knowledge whatsoever. And I will say this, and me and Luke talked a lot about this back and forth.
Mhm.
I was really disappointed when they got rid of economy because that was our level. That was just the one that was there. And I didn't really understand the reasoning behind the value, moving the value up, bringing on the value plus, and then having the regular with the price drop on it. But now when I look at it in the submissions, it makes a lot of sense. And there's really good being at $4.99. It makes it easier for people to figure out what cards to submit at that level. When they said PSA did it, they said it was going to make it easier for people to submit that aren't as familiar with the process. And that has definitely been the case. So I've seen it. Now it's going to be interesting to see how many people submit at value plus.
Yeah.
So the value plus is the same price. I mean, it's double the price, but you get it back in 20 business days. My question mark will be is, well, if you submit value plus and value at the exact same time, how long is value going to be compared to value plus? We know value plus is going to be 20 business days or less. They're going to make sure they hit that. But is value going to be, I know it's max 65 days, but is it going to be 30 days? Then you're playing with that number. So I feel like PSA is trying to figure out exactly what they're going to get on that as well. So
Yeah.
that's going to be fun to play.
It's been a volume control thing. And like I said, I still think the one missing element for me, like obviously having a lower price point would be nice, just from the perspective, like I said, of the set registry guys and I'm wondering if the special will eventually address that. The problem is it's been eventually. I feel like it's been a really long time, and that's really unfortunate. I'm not a fan of that, and like it's a shame is what I would say. Like I said, nobody's above criticism. Everybody's going to get some along the way, but that's just something I would posit. The other one, like I said, the gap between $4.99 and 1,000 and $14.99, not having anything in between and jumping all the way is kind of weird. It's unfortunate. But maybe that's something that'll get adjusted down the road. But again, that's a critique that I would offer. I just feel like that's a really big gap between those two without having anything in between. We'll see how that plays out. But like I said, it's all speculation. We're all kind of sitting back going like, we won't know until we know. It's like, I'm sure we'll see a social media post at some point and you'll get an email just randomly at some point and then boom, there we go. Then everybody has to respond from there. Now, here's kind of a thing. Again, my goal is not to pick on anybody, but I have to be fair. Call a spade a spade. I give PSA some criticism and deserved criticism and critique where I think it's warranted. Let me give you another one. Our good friends at BGS, our good friends at Beckett, they made a label update that was not really a label update. It was an expansion of the existing label. They got rid of the white labels, which I think is smart. I think that is good. I agree with that idea. But then that's it. They got rid of the white label, made it so it's silver for everything, that leading up to until it gets to gold. So it's silver labels and gold labels. Didn't change the holder. Didn't change the design of the label. Big changes. Luke, what do you think about these gigantic, huge, momentous changes?
I think I don't know. I mean, do they really have to change their label, or do they really have to change?
Oh yes, they did. They needed to change something. They literally have counterfeit slabs. Literally, they've been counter. It's been 2 years, Luke. It's been 2 years. I made a video where I was kind of having fun with it, to be honest, because it was so ludicrous to me. I'm sitting there like, look, y'all do you, but at the same time, like, again, I don't have I have fun with on the Friday show. I have fun with Eric, but at his core, he does have a lot of frustration and like he is annoyed with it because he was a Beckett fanboy back in the day. So like for him, it's like a personal betrayal. You know, we play it up a little bit for entertainment value, but it's a betrayal because at the end of the day, they've squandered this opportunity to be really competitive in the space. There is a legitimate problem in that the slabs have been counterfeited. They acknowledge this 2 years ago, and during that time period, there has been no change. There was that little brief thing at the National where they showed these other like concept slabs and then kind of walked that back and said, well, these are not like, oh no, these are not new. We're just getting feedback. It's like, well, okay, you've been getting feedback for a while. New label, new slab. Truthfully, the slab change could have been an opportunity to modify the design of the label to offer a security feature. Just something to change it from the previous, because PSA's done that before. They have made changes to the holder, but they've also made these little changes to the label over time, and you can actually see them. So, and they've done that. SGC has made changes to their label over time. CSG made a very significant change to their label to accommodate user feedback. So the other three players have all made changes to those in the last couple of years. And the big change here is that Beckett ordered more silver labels. That wasn't even a change. That's the reason why I say like it actually wasn't a change. It was we're going to order more silver labels and throw out the white ones. That's the plan. That'll get them. So it's like I don't know. So Andrew's got his guess here, and we'll reveal that in a second. Sean Red says it's a good change. That's the only problem, Sean. It's not a change. The only change is that they will stop using the white labels and the blue labels and use the same the silver labels are the same ones they were using before. They just ordered more. They had Larry order more of them. That's it. It's like, Larry, I need you to order 5 times as many. Okay. Order more of the silver ones? Yes. What about the gold? Same as before. Nothing has changed. So that's why I say, like, I hesitate to call it a change because outside of a policy, I guess, is it a change? I just feel like it's tone deaf in an environment where you are seeing a lot of movement. It's like that. What are you offering? Like, I was thinking then you do another shoe to drop, something to go along with it to go. But it's like we've updated those labels, you guys. It's like, but you didn't even update it; you just gave us more silver. That's cool. Good to hear. So anyway, Dave's question: any update on the fake bird magic?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I really haven't heard anything either on that one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, but it's a good thing they did that. I suppose it is better than doing literally nothing. Not much better than doing literally nothing, but basically literally nothing. But it's good to know.
I just thought too, one of the things that we should touch on is working on the show calendar. I mean, me and Luke had a great conversation today. I think it was or yesterday. Just talked about we want to be at more shows. So if there is a show in your area that anyone can think of, I know a lot of people listen to this after the fact. If there's a show in your area that you'd like us to come set up and take submissions, then we're all ears. I mean, Luke booked another one today. Obviously, we do all the big ones. We do, from Vancouver, we do all the BOSA shows. Then Edmonton, Luke did Regina, Toronto, Montreal, Halifax. We're probably even going to do the next. I think I'm going to do the next one in New Brunswick. I'm pretty sure we have a good base of customers up there, and I think that could be a little extra bonus. So we want to increase our show presence across. Kevin is setting up this weekend at CSC.
CSC.
So I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up because I came randomly across this and I looked it up. It's CSC and it's in Mississauga. So this is my stopping. I'm like, what? Y'all going? It's like, I'm like, wait a minute. Interesting. Very interesting. This is, I think, on the Sunday. I think it's I'll double check, but I think it's the CSC trade show. I want to
That's
say
It is. Yeah. It used to be in Markham.
Yeah, that's what I was
It used to be in
wondering about.
Markham. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
And
I
then
thought it was kind of.
He moved it to Mississauga, a new location now. So
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
gonna
based
find it.
upon the feedback that the amount of questions that I've gotten. I think it's going to be a great show. Hopefully they have an excellent turnout, but based upon all the emails and phone calls we got, because we did, we kind of made a little bit of a mistake. Yeah.
So this is the guy right
Yeah.
here. So this is the Mississauga Convention Center, and then a sponsor. So this is what I caught. The reason why I thought I'd ask you is that I saw this right here. It's like, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's on Sunday, and there you go. I recognize a lot of these logos. I am familiar with these guys. Untouchables actually was the mall that Untouchables was in. I don't know if they still are. I think they're still in the same location. That mall used to actually have a bunch of car shows in it back in the day. This is back in the 90s, so it's been a long time. But yeah, Untouchables was there as a show. And then obviously you do have a lot of these things. I'd be curious. And I know CCL, I know set up at the Expo and a couple of these other ones I am familiar with, and good old Mint and then Mint Link and a couple of these. I honestly hadn't really given too much thought to this show, and you got Sluggers and a couple of these here. I am familiar with some of these guys here. I don't know. Carlos might have to make an appearance at this little thing here, at this little thing over here. Might have to say hey to Mr. Kevin and go, "Where's my G-string on?"
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
I think I might have to do it. It's this upcoming Sunday, huh? Interesting.
I heard the Markham one was really good. Like there's a lot of traffic and stuff like that. He when he had it in the smaller places, a lot bigger or a lot of traffic going through there. So now I think it's a little bit bigger. So I'm not sure if the traffic will relate to that. I think door admission is like $15. So he increased it from $10 to $15 now. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll say this. Looks like on the website right now you can buy it for $10.
Up to yesterday or today, I think.
Well, I got it right in front of me, so $10.
Okay.
So it looks like it. So I might grab one. Maybe I will. It says online discount tickets available until the 27th, so you have until tomorrow. So tomorrow's the cutoff here, according to this. So I don't know. I might have to make a little appearance over there and see what's going on in these places.
That's good.
Let's just quickly go through a couple of these here. And then we're going to reveal the percentage because now we've had some guesses, so we can definitely do that.
Do you know what, Carlos? Before you start, do you want to ask the question one more time just to see? There might be a few more answers in there. I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah. So the question was, we've got data pertaining to PSA Canada last year in terms of different sports. So it's broken down by category, different sports. Hockey is the highest percentage of total submissions. I did give a point. I gave you a bit of a hint. Like I said, I don't know what the totals are. I don't know what the breakdown is. We're going to get that in a second. But hockey is the highest. But the question was, people guessing in the chat, what percentage? How high do you think it is? I did make the point that I would consider probably Pokemon is at least a pretty decent percentage. Probably has a nice little chunk there. Because Kevin does receive a lot of those cards, and they receive a lot of Pokemon submissions, and then Sherry has critical cards that go through there, like the Pokies. They're part of it. But the question that I would have is then how big a chunk did it take out? Hockey being the biggest amount. Guesses on what it was. So we've had a couple different guesses. A lot of folks in the 60s. I kind of guessed 65% myself. That was my guess. But if anybody who's just joining us a little bit later on, love to get your guess if you want to put it in the chat, and we'll reveal the answer shortly here. So real quick, Dave just says, perhaps you can produce a YouTube video for your show. So if I do make my way down there, the problem is it's like, it starts on Sunday morning. Mornings, brutal. So let me see. If I can manage to get myself up for breakfast, maybe I will. I will say though, and this is a Mississauga thing. The problem with the convention centers in Mississauga is that everything is far away. It's ridiculous. It's one of those things where it's like, because you say like, oh, Mississauga. Listen, Mississauga is this gigantic plot of land, so you could be in one part of Mississauga. It's like, oh, it's just the Mississauga Convention Center. That's all the way over there. Everything is not nearby. Just don't title it. We spent 150K. Unless Brad's giving me 150K, I don't think it's gonna happen. $10 admission is a lot for a card show. It is. I'll be honest, it is a lot, especially for like a one-day show that's like a trade show thing. But you know what? I'll be honest. The only reason I'm intrigued by it is I hadn't been to this one before, and it is technically in my stomping grounds. Even if it's probably not immediate. It's not a short trip over, but I think it's like a 25-minute car ride from where I am, so not terrible. So it's one of the. I'm curious. I'm morbidly curious. I wouldn't mind going in there, just checking it out with no expectations. And if I do go over there, yeah, I'll bring my camera. I'll take a couple of shots and stuff. But like we talked about this before, I think it would be awesome if we figure out some way, if wherever PSA Canada goes, if there's an opportunity to take a couple of clips of some stuff. I think that's a generally good idea, just to be able to, hey, it doesn't have to be a full-fledged show blog, but it'd be kind of cool to at least showcase a little bit, some clips here and there. Josh says, I'll say hockey 60%, Pokemon 20% everything else. Very nice. Sean says 50% hockey. 10 minutes of Doug is driving. Psh, maybe I need to get Doug over here. It'll speed up my trip.
I couldn't help but laugh at that one. That's it. Yeah.
I'll take it. Trust me, with how slow the traffic is around here, I will take anything that cuts down the time. All right, so we got some good guesses. Josh joined in as well, so thank you, Josh, for that. All right, so do you want to reveal the percentages here?
Yeah, so it's funny. Everyone was so clear cut on hockey being number one. It is number one.
Yeah.
I actually thought that it was going to be a little closer between hockey and TCG. So hockey came in at 40% of our submissions.
That's a little low. Interesting. All right.
Yeah. I thought it was like, I thought it was going to be TCG. So TCG is number two.
Yeah. So Sean is the closest here. We're followed closely by Paul, who got in a guess right at the end. So that's pretty strong.
I said 48.
Yeah. So 40. So you got 40%. You said hockey. Okay.
40% hockey. TCG was 23%.
Yeah. So that includes the Pokemon and everything else, which I figured would be strong. I figured the Pokemon would be strong.
Next we had was basketball, came in at 11%.
That's actually pretty good.
And baseball was 8%.
Okay.
And football was 7%. And then there's 11% left for everything else that's in there. So I thought I would have said basketball. I would have said baseball was ahead of football. I was actually surprised that we took in more football cards than baseball cards. I would have thought that would have been reversed for sure. And I knew basketball would be the third because that was for 2022. I bet you it'll be interesting to see for 2023 what those numbers go. I don't think I think basketball will drop off some. I think hockey's even going to pick up some more steam. So,
yeah, I think that breakdown is very interesting because I am surprised that hockey was as low as it was. All things considered, PSA Canada, you would think it'd be even more pronounced for hockey. However, the TCG one does not surprise me. I think that makes a lot of sense. Really strong showing by them. The everything else is like obviously my Burt Baker's that's important. My wrestling cards. That's pretty strong. So Nico says the 8% for baseball is probably because of my Bowman Chrome first autos. There you go. and I did send my Juan Soto's. I got that as well. But then this is still the ultimate question: does the Albert Pujols count as TCG or baseball?
Exactly.
This is important. Like this could tilt the entire thing. You never even know. But you know what did contribute to the hockey section of it, though? To be fair, you know what did contribute to the hockey section? Jason Robertson. Luke?
Absolutely.
You know what it's time for, don't you? Luke's got some cards he's got to show us. I got some Jason Robertson cards. These are not Luke's, even though, he is the one with the horrific pump, the horrific, shameless pump. Look at that. All those future watches. Okay, very nice. Look at that. One after another.
He sent in 7. I think he bought these at the expo.
Okay, yeah.
This is my buddies or whatever. So 6 regular future watch autos and 1 inscribed.
Yep.
And then this is a beauty.
I like that one. That's a really good one. That's the Seismic Gold, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Seismic Gold, you got the Seismic Gold autograph. That's strong.
Yeah.
And a lot of future watches. Did any of them gem, or are they all 9s? Or?
Yeah. You got 3 10s, 2 9s, and 1 8.
I like it. And Bobbles and Ball Cards is excited because, we saw Jason Robertson. I figured that was like a bat signal for you. I figured that's what it would take. And we got a seismic gold autograph in there, which is pretty solid. That's strong. That's nice.
Actually, I should check the pop on that.
Nicely done. You should. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Fellas just signed in. Heard Brad say there's a show coming up in New Brunswick. When and where is that?
Yeah, so there was just one last weekend. So the next one I think will probably be the end of February. We were planning to go up Saturday morning, but I was up at 4:30. We were ready to roll. And then Dougie called us. He was about 30, 40 minutes before the toll. Stewiak, he pulled over and said he turned around and came back. He said the roads were just too bad because of the storm we had. So,
gotcha.
But I think it's the end of February.
Gotcha. Josh says, I hate to bring this up, but for years, a lot of hockey went through the company Eric owns. True. Very true. Perhaps some dedicated hockey collectors going that way. Still some dedicated hockey collectors going that way. It's possible. Like now that they've made huge label updates, I can only assume that that's going to take it to the moon. Let's take a look here. I love it. I wasn't even here in the Robertson pub is in full effect. Luke showed that to us before we got started. I go, you keep that nearby. You keep that within arm's reach. It's too good. We have to do it.
Top 3 for that seismic gold.
Nice. All right. That's good. I like that. That's strong. Jeff here says, good evening, everyone. Great video with John Wade Boggs fan the other day, Carlos. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A nice, short, brisk, nearly 3-hour conversation. The best part is that as we chatted a little bit before, we chatted a little bit after. It's like, but I did a video today where I was joking about it. It's like, if I wanted to optimize this, a 3-hour conversation is not the way to do this. You cut it up in chunks and take certain topics. It would probably work better, but it's my style. It's like I'll put it up as is. So Paul says, thanks. Absolutely. Thank you. Nico, by the way, guys, for the most recent update to the Excel page, I've been upgraded from Q2 to shipping. So I'm assuming we're super close to Halifax. It's getting there.
Yeah. So we just went through and updated, like I said, on that. So I'm thinking right now, today's Thursday. Just always remember there's a possibility some orders can stay in shipping for various different reasons for a week to 2 weeks. Usually they move after a week. So I think we'll have a ton of shipments that will ship over the weekend from PSA back to us, and we should have them here Tuesday or Wednesday. So
very nice.
So stay tuned. Once you see that in red in Halifax, now we are going to delay that a little bit we're not going to update them. We're learning as we go with the whole updates and doing everything. Last time, as soon as we had all the boxes hit FedEx, I went into the spreadsheet and I put them all in Halifax right away. We told everyone we'd have their invoices to them within 24 to 48 hours. Impossible. So now we're just doing it. Once we have the box, we're ready to invoice it. We're going to do box by box by box and update it that way. We created a little bit of a storm for us and understandably, it wasn't anyone's fault. Maybe you had the wrong did you have the wrong email? Did you have the wrong contact for me? Because it says it was updated, it actually blows me away how many people have been looking at the Excel sheet, which is great. That's why we did it. We wanted to make sure people could have, transparency and see where their cards are. And it's been interesting. So
my favorite part is I remember a man talking about an Excel spreadsheet, a visionary, really, a brilliant man. I can't remember who it was, but I just know they were a visionary, someone who has vision, clearly vision.
Absolutely. What's funny? I still say, did I say Excel again? It's Google Docs. I got to get
Google Docs. That's right.
It's almost like it will always be the Sky Dome. It's not the Rogers Center. It will always be Excel. It's Google Docs.
As long as we remember that a visionary man saw the vision, that's all that matters. It's the only thing we need to be concerned ourselves with. Josh here says, I wanted to share how impressed I was with the service. Invoice received Monday, sent payment, and arrived on Tuesday to me. Very nice. Very nice.
That's awesome. And thanks, Josh. And one thing we again, always taking feedback in. We all talked about this, me, Luke, and Carlos. We were going to share Josh's submission. And he said, yeah, we can do a live reveal. So once we have, probably not next week, but the week after, I'll have the camera. I ordered it in I think I get something that's really cool that we can do a reveal into it, and it's going to look professional, good photos of the cards. It's not me holding them up where I trying to tilt each side. Luke's 10 times better at it than I am. And then we can do some reveals. I mean, I think that's one of the funnest part in the hobby is when people do reveals. So we won't do it randomly. Obviously, we'll get permission to whoever the submitter is, but Josh had a super cool order that would have been great to reveal. So we'll do that in the future, the very, very near future. So
Yeah. And with the caveat, and we've talked about before, most of the folks here have heard it, with the caveat that whoever, if there is any reveals, it will be with the permission of the owner. Because they will. I'm always I'm a stickler for this because it is because we've done reveals here before. They're my cards, or they're Brad's cards. I'm comfortable in that situation, but if it's somebody else, then we want to basically, hey, are you okay with this? Are you cool? Because some people want to keep it to themselves. Some people want to see it on their own, and if they want to share with anybody, they can. And I'm always cool with that. But we always like, make sure we respect that, and that's a critical piece. We want to make sure we do that for whoever needs it. So real quick here. So kind of in the same vein, guys, I'll also remind everybody, it is Hobby Talk, so we can open it up if you guys have anything in particular you want to ask about. It can be PSA related, it can be related to other things, or whatever's on your mind hobby-wise. We can always chat about that. So I want to make sure we cover that. And also to that point, in the same vein, they're getting through the orders. I also want to add on their behalf that there is a lot of stuff they're having to go through. Usually give them at least a little bit of a grace window here. Now, to be fair, like obviously you can reach out to them a little bit if it feels a little bit of a delay. I did that last time because they did in fact have the wrong email for me and I made fun of them. so it can happen. It can happen. Like I said, it's like you don't have to send me an invoice. You can send me the cards without the invoice. It's fine, but you still make sure you get the home address right. That's the important part. But then the rest of it we can talk about. All right, so real quick, I'll get this one. Hall of Fame. That's all I have to say. Okay, Josh, I'll play into this one. We'll have a little fun with it for a minute. What's our spot on our forum, but nobody ever checks it. In fact, they ask if reveals it says they get more eye on their cards. Had folks sell cards before they have them off my hands. I like it. I mean, Kevin might be with his Stormy cards. There you go. All right, I'll have a little fun with this one. So, Brad, are you familiar with the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame?
Do you know what? A little bit. I'm trying to. I think I understand it now.
I can give a quick background just to get everybody level set. I can give a quick background just so we have it. Okay, so a couple of years back, what happened was, Mike Baseball Collector on YouTube conceived of this idea of this glorious Hall of Fame. So like I said, we'll touch on this one here. Let me go here. Alfonso says the PSA Canada office and Nova Scotia like official partner or a third party like LCS. Bulk submitter. Easiest, simplest way is think of it in the concept of bulk submitter. There is a really strong relationship between this and PSA themselves, hence why they can call it PSA Canada as opposed to something else. But it is still a bulk submitter, so I think the terminology used is official agent. So that'd be the best way to consider it. But think about it functionally as a bulk submitter. You submit the cards, they submit it to PSA, get it back, and then you consolidate your stuff and then ship it out to you. Best way to think about it that way. Did Chad change something with the grading scale? I did not. Now it's up to 10,000? 9,000? Scott Rowland. Okay, fair enough. We can talk about that in a minute. Okay, so like I said, basically, Mike Baseball Collector conceived this notion. He's a big Hall of Fame buff, and that's kind of his deal. He wanted to create a way, and like the way I explain it is that a very common trope for a lot of different YouTube channels was to do what would be video responses. So it'd basically be a prompt, and the idea was, let's talk about your favorite this, or what card do you like, or whatever, blah blah blah. But the reality was he wanted to come up with a more elaborate version. A simple video response was not good enough. So he came up with this idea of a YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame. Now, that is rife with issues. I don't want to get into all of them. You can go to my YouTube channel. I explain some of those. But the concept was you who create YouTube videos would be the peers. These are the people that would cast votes and give nominations. And then what would happen is based on the votes, a certain amount of them would get tallied up, and then they would be inducted in this virtual Hall of Fame. And he went to the trouble of actually doing these little patches, these little, YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame patches. But the end result, though, is that it's a popularity contest so that people would vote for, their buddies, and that would get it, which, of course, created rife with problems right from the get-go. And every year there would be some controversy or scandal. So that's one. Now, there's also the Baseball Hall of Fame, so I'm not sure which one Josh was touching on, because Josh knows about this one, so he's been watching the videos. I'm assuming he's talking about that one, but Scott Rowland would be the Baseball Hall of Fame. So that's another discussion point, and that is kind of an interesting piece as well. But conceptually, does that help in terms of it, Brad? Does that fill in some of the gaps?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I knew there was some controversies back and forth. And
Always
some,
is. Every year there's a
yeah,
controversy, and I have literally made fun of it every year that it's existed.
yeah.
It's really great. I love it. However, I will say, with all that said, it does actually give people, it does, as people watch the videos, they do get recommendations that they actually take to heart. And often, I'll be honest, the last couple of years that I participated, even though I make fun of it, because I have fun with it, for me, it amuses me. There are people who catch onto my channel because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who appreciate that I'll at least participate. And some of them, even when they nominate my channel and they'll talk about it, they're like, I know Carlos doesn't even like this thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that he's at least playing along. Basically, that's the way it's written in. It's like, look, I'm having fun with it. It's lighthearted. Have fun. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't take it too seriously, and it's fine.
It's good.
So
You know what? The video that I really enjoyed watching, I think I watched it yesterday, was the Brian Gray's video on Leaf. I didn't even know that he was doing YouTube videos, but it was him doing buying cards at the Dallas show.
Okay, but did you see the slow counting thing?
Oh, but my favorite thing to start, yes, I did. The favorite thing was him walking at the very beginning of the video, him walking with his briefcase / suitcase behind him. And he's doing that walk. And I'm like, that is the Brian Gray that I know that bought so many cards from me over the years at the Toronto Expo, just wheeling around with his bag full of money. And he comes up to the table and yeah, I'll pay this. I thought I enjoy watching show content and people's tables and deals transact. I know there's a little bit more behind the scenes to make this one more appealing, but I really enjoyed it. It was good.
No, for sure. Like, look, Brian Gray does know how to be an entertainer. It is a marketing vehicle, but the point that I had about it though is like you can use a little bit of the magic of editing to make it less painful to. I don't need to watch you count each individual bill. You can use a little editing magic just to get to the point, just a little bit, just a little bit. Just trying to throw it out there. So real quick here. Dave says I didn't understand the change, meaning the tag change for the scale. I haven't heard about it, so I can't speak to it too much. So let's see. Stage of Joel 01. Good evening. Says hi all. Can't wait to see you March in Regina if that event is still being done.
Yes, it is. From what I know, it's March 5th.
Nice. Very good. The wrong Hall of Fame. We can still talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame here in a second. No worries. We'll get to that. I wanted to make sure that we had a moment because a lot of these folks that are in the chat are familiar with the YouTube thing, and they're right now this is the topic du jour on some of that. But again, we can talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame as well, so there's no problem there. Serious question about the Hall of Fame is the top 10 vote getters that get into the prestigious YouTube Hall of Fame. So I'll answer that. The first couple of years, the answer was yes. Now this year, and I think last year, it was the top 5 because it was taken over by a different commissioner, a person who took over, who hopefully would be less controversial. But there's always a controversy anyway, just because people like to complain. So they made some modifications, which is fine. Like, look, it's this made up thing. It's this, so you can come up with whatever rules and change it over time, and that's perfectly fine. It's not a real building. It's not an actual thing. There will be no plaque somewhere. So it's not that serious. If it's taken in the spirit of having some fun with it and just talking about channels you like, I think there's some value to it because it does allow some channels to get some recognition that way, which is fine if you take it in a lighthearted manner. Crozier's memorabilia. Hey guys, great content. Thank you. Appreciate that. What type of cards do folks receive the most? So last year, the answer was hockey. It was 40%. So thank you to Sean for including that information. And that is the answer to that, Alfonso. Was he handling out Superman cards as in good old BG, Brian Gray? Maybe he was. Now, the stuff he was buying, I think that's for his repack product, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask this. I actually have to get something at the door because I heard a knock earlier, so I'm going to do that. But let me leave this open, and I want to get thoughts from the chat too. So I want to get thoughts from Luke. I know Luke's in focus and concentration, but I need some thoughts from Luke. Here's the question. I want thoughts on repack products in general. Doesn't have to be Brian Gray's. I'm just like, your thoughts on repack. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you think there's like value to them? Is it something you have to be really careful about? Just any thoughts in general. Thoughts on repack products like that. I will be right back in a moment.
I think there is value to it. I think I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the right person has to do the right things. I mean, you can't have repacks where you're having, out of 180 of them is like $5 cards and you're selling for $100 or whatever, right? So, and you have to chase 2 cards out of 100. So, I mean, I think it's, it really depends. If you have a couple of big chasers on like, 20 cards or 20 packs, then yeah, it's a different story than it is if you have, two chasers on the hard packs, right? So
Yeah. I think I like we sell a lot of the hit parade at the store, which we get from our good friends at Dave and Adams. Now, one of the problems with repack was during the boom, let's say, you had repacks were being done at the beginning stages of the boom. So all of a sudden there was cards in those repacks that were selling at a certain rate that were incredibly good deals. So it really put people love the repacks because all of a sudden they were putting in a card that was worth $200, and all of a sudden a month later, after it's in the product and out, that card was now $600. So it made the whole repacks just keep on improving. Now on the other side of it, which we noticed, we had a lot of hit parade left that was probably there for let's say 3 or 4 months during the downturn. So all of a sudden you bought a hit parade product for $300 that, you got $100 card. Well, that $100 card was a $300 card back when it was produced. So what we decided to do is we opened everything. It's not the memorabilia. Memorabilia is fine, but for the cards, we decided to open up everything else, everything that we had left, and then just move the cards that way. But I think now that the market is a little more stable in that, I think you'll see these repack from the big companies that do it really well. Again, not just because they're my buddies, but we're going to carry Hit Parade at AMG forever. It's a great product. They do a great job with it, and they work on that. They know they have a margin, but you can get the hits. So so I like that. But as far as just buying into unknown blind, like mystery tins at Walmart, or I don't believe in that stuff. I feel like when you're dealing with a reputable company that has a whole division based on that, you're going to have some fun with it. So
now here's a question. Let me ask the serious question here. I am genuinely curious. When it comes to a repack product like that, the issue is always value, right? Because when you're doing it, it's still meant to be for profit. At the end of the day, there is a built-in. But the problem is that in order to make it work, you're going to have some that are clearly going to have, more value than what you're buying it at. It should average out, but in reality, there's a margin built into it. So it's one of those things like I just find it difficult where unless you just enjoy the gambling, which obviously some folks do, so that there is that element of it. Opening up, I'm almost kind of in the Dave camp here, and like I said, Dave and I enjoy Dave's comments, but I don't know. Obviously, we have different sensibilities a lot of times. It's very difficult, and in this case, it's not leftover cards. To be fair here, Dave, this is a situation where they're literally buying cards for this product. So it's not leftover. Literally, Brian Gray is going to tables and buying lots. Now, what happens is you can buy lots and get a better deal, which actually leaves you some margins. So in relative terms, maybe the value proposition is there. It's just tricky because, like, say you got $100 on, a repack product. You could have a card that technically is worth $120, but it's nebulous, right? Like there's a little bit of fluctuation built into that. So it's like, was that worthwhile? Was that not worth? If the card was worth 90, is that okay? Like, it's just tricky for me with the repack product because you have to build in a buffer for whatever profit margin you have. So like, how tight is your profit margin? Like that kind of question that's always kind of there.
Yeah. It's a bit of a catch-22 when you watch them doing it. And I know Tyler that runs Hit Parade for Dave and Adams. Like obviously it's just a simple formula. They know they have to buy at this to make it work. Mm-hmm. But when you see, if I'm a fan of a repack product, I don't want to see the buyers for the repack product paying top dollar for cards. I want to see them negotiate and get the best deal they possibly can. Mm-hmm. So we see all these videos of certain guys going around and they're paying, I'll pay 90% of comps. Well, if you're doing a repack product and they're paying 90% of the comps, they want to make 20% of the whole thing. That means it's going to be 110%. So your product's going to be over. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when you see, I want to see, if I watch the guys from Hit Parade or I watch Brian Gray, I want to see him getting the best deal possible on cards to put into that repack product. So when you buy that, you're getting an even better deal, right? Like it's kind of like they're working for you in a way.
Mm-hmm. Now does it count? Now he's never done this, but I want to pose the hypothetical question because it's Brian Gray and it's joyful for me. And the best part is, like, it's to your point, Brad. You've dealt with Brian Gray. Like, I have no issue with Brian Gray, but he's so much fun to poke fun at because the things he does and some of the outlandish things he says make it highly entertaining for me. He is a character in this space, one way or the other. However you like it, he's a character. Would it count the same though? So let's say he does his buying, right? He goes out and buys some cards. And let's say he has sticker autos. slaps a sticker on some rando card for his repack product, which he could do. Like, what's to stop him? Like, realistically, like, he could. I'm sure he still got a couple of Gordy autos left, a couple of Gordy stickers left, a couple of those autos. What if he just buys a rando Gordy card and just slaps a Gordy Howe autograph on it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no, I know.
Throws it into a repack product. I'm like, this is a weird mix of things.
We did have, Luke, I think it was me and you at one show. We had someone submit cards. They submitted a Crosby Young Gun. I think it was a Crosby, maybe, or McDavid. It was either Crosby or McDavid with a sticker autograph on the Young Gun. And he was like, well, you PSA grade this like through Authenticator. I'm like, well, maybe. I don't know. I never had it happen before. So we sent the cards in, but PSA did not grade it. So I think if you wanted to, we probably could have sent it to PSA DNA and just authenticated the actual sticker and encapsulated that.
Yeah, I think as a card you could do. I think that is fair.
Yeah, I think as a trading, just through the DNA, not through PSA. So
yeah, but I say I just throwing out that as a hypothetical because it is possible. It wouldn't shock me if at least the thought didn't cross somebody's mind. Yeah. So I know there's a question about Connor Bedard. We'll get to that in a minute if we can here. Remind me if I forget. I know Brad has a couple of thoughts on Connor Bedard, so I want to at least include that. But let me read a couple of these comments here. Big oof on Caulfield being out for the season. I haven't been keeping tabs, but that would be unfortunate for sure. Josh says, would be curious what the margin would be built at. 20 would be my guess. There definitely has to be a margin. It is a formula. To Brad's point, it has to be a formula because that's the only way you can ensure you'll be in good shape with that. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's fair. I'll include that. A fullness money assumed part of repack products, a perfect example of that. Like I said, I'm very murky on the repack product. They're tricky. There's a lot of nuance here that you have to be very careful of, but I don't disagree. Like a lot of the repack products are highly questionable at best. If I remember correctly, you never get leaf cards in a repack product. Yeah, but I'm throwing the hypothetical though. Throwing a leaf card in a repack product would be very dangerous. That'd be even murkier ground. But I'm saying, what if you use the sticker autos and put it on a different card that you bought, like a buyback thing? Because he did that with the Kevin Durant rookies, effectively. He got the stickers from somewhere, bought the Kevin Durant rookies, the chrome ones, I think it was, put them together. And it's like, these don't belong together. And now in this scenario that I just gave you, hypothetical, I'm not familiar that he's done it, but what if Brian Gray has stickers that are leaf stickers that they've got autographed through their contract, whatever, and then he slaps it on a card of the individual that he buys in a repack? You could do that. It would make a unique, combination of a card that didn't exist before. I just don't know how people would react to that.
Yeah.
But it's in play. I'm just throwing it out there. There is a place in the hobby for reputable repack, but it's like buying a lottery ticket at entertainment value. Most people will simply buy the card they want. That's fair. Very fair, CC. What happens if the declared value of a card, I submit, is lower than what it actually is? What does PSA do? Nothing really.
Nothing.
No.
Yeah.
You should put the appropriate declared value, but if anything happens, that's going to make your life very difficult.
Yeah. And I said, when I talked to the customer service team this week on our Zoom call with PSA, I brought that up and I said, here's what we tell people. I want somebody to submit their card at the proper level. I don't want them to overpay. And that's the added value that PSA Canada brings. We get all kinds of cards. I get a 1999 Pokemon Machamp first edition card submitted to me at Super Express level. So the card would probably grade a 6 or 7, which means the card's worth about $75 as is. Even at 10 is only $1,000. Someone submitted it to me with the value $4,999. If they would have submitted that directly to PSA, their process is the card comes in, they would have processed through at Super Express. He would have had it back in 20 days and he would have been charged $600 to grade a card that was worth $60. So I know sometimes this gets repetitive, but we tell everyone, submit at the lowest level you're comfortable with from an insurance standpoint and from a turnaround time when you want your card back. So if you think you have a Connor McDavid Young Gun, well, and you think it's perfect, it's going to be a PSA 10, well, submit it at the regular level. It's under $14.99. Mm-hmm. Submit it at that. Worst case scenario comes back an 8. If you know what you're doing on the cards, it comes back. It's still worth $1,000, so you're at the right service level. If it comes back at 10, you're going to get bumped up to the proper level. So,
I think that's fair.
It's very evident with that with Gretzky rookies. because there's such a range of the Gretzky rookies. Like I tell everybody with Gretzky rookies, if you're sending one in, put it at whatever service level, even the value service, if you feel comfortable. It is a piece of cardboard, and as a raw, it's about $500 to $1,000 somewhere in there. So that's all it is. Even if it's if you think it's a 10, we don't know because it could be a 3. So
yeah, no, that's it. We had a deal with that this week, where a gentleman submitted a card, a Gretzky rookie, and he wanted to insure it, and he put the value at $8,000. So he submitted it at the walkthrough level. So the Gretzky came back a PSA 5, and he was charged $850 to grade the PSA 5, and he wasn't happy about it. But we explained to him when he was submitting it that we went over the whole process. Like, hey, you know what? We'd submit this at economy. Put the value down at $999. Let PSA upgrade you after the fact. So we can only do so much at the end of the day, and we want to make sure we steer people the right direction. But it's your decision to submit the cards at what service level you want, and we go from there. So,
makes sense. Logan here asks, Brad, what are the chances of needing more staff for PSA in the near future to help with the operations of social media aspects? Ooh, they're looking for a social media manager.
Yeah,
and he has the eyeball emoji.
That's good. I like it. But we're expanding. There's going to be some great things come with PSA Canada. I'd say in the very, very near future. I know I talk about Luke. I know I talked about it with Carlos. We've already added a couple more people on the team here from the back end staff that we're putting in place. And now that I'm quite comfortable with our position as PSA Canada and our relationship with PSA, that we're going to be here for a long time. We're committed to it. Myself, Sherry, Luke, Kevin's committed to it. We have Pascal in Quebec, who's done just an exceptional job. He's a guy I don't really talk about much. He's a man, he doesn't speak English, so we text back and forth, and he uses the translator app. And but he's been awesome. I can't say enough good things about Pascal. We get a package every month from him. He takes care. We direct people there's a lot of people in this hobby that don't speak English, and I direct them to Pascal, and he helps them out. So yeah, we are expanding, and there's lots of good things happening.
Nice. I like it. So real quick here, let me scroll through. Josh says, was it Jack Eichel that he did that with as well on an SPA rookies? I guess meaning with the sticker and the sticker on the card. I'm not familiar with that one, but it's possible. I know they did. I think Leaf did a thing with Jack Eichel. I don't know if that was specifically it, but anything's possible. I threw it out there because it's Brian Gray, and almost anything is possible with Brian Gray. You never know. Somebody's going to try something off the wall like that. That's the guy who's going to give it a try. So Nova Girl is saying, who is going to go to the Halifax show on Saturday? Open question.
Yeah, I guess for the chat, I know.
I guess so, maybe.
Luke's going to be down. We'll get Carlos down here at one of our shows. But yeah, right now we do have 60 confirmed dealers and 150 tables. It's sold out. We're going to do video from the show as well, which we talked about on Carlos's channel. That's something we really, all of us up here north of the border, we don't do enough of. Most of the content from shows that you do see is like I said, is in the US. So we want to amp it up because we have great shows, great turnouts, and great stuff. So we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's fair. I've noticed that Eric has been quiet. Hope everything's all right. Obviously, he replied earlier further down, but we're going to get to that. Also, the Bruins lost, so we may not hear from him now. Unfortunately, we did. But, we'll get to that in a second. When I watch people open repack stuff, it shows it rarely ends with folks feeling good. Better off paying $5-10 for more of the card you actually want. In general, you will enjoy buying singles more than a lot of packs. Repack or not. Regular packs. Now, when you're opening up regular packs, you're taking the gamble. You enjoy the possibilities. It's really what it is possibilities. There is a fun element to that. So you got to bake that in. That's part of your value that you're getting out of this, the possibility. Repack, like I said, is weird because you better hope they are reputable. I would only be really comfortable if I understood, like, okay, so how many packs did you make? How many, like, good cards are in it? Like, you basically need to understand what you're getting into before you get into it. With the other product, it's like, well, at least you have odds. Kind of like, okay, so the odds of pulling the Young Gun is these many per box. The odds of pulling the Future Watch Auto is these many are made. This is the odds. And then at the same time, you're like, okay, so how many Future Watch Autos did you make? So what are the odds of pulling the one that I want? You can kind of work that out for yourself and then figure out if you want to gamble anyway. But it's still a gamble. but it feels a little different than a repack where it's like, but somebody literally hand collated this. They have control, and I've handed over the control to somebody who has a lot more control than even the machines.
Yeah.
This is where Eric says hello. Hello, Eric. Good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Luke here says, thank everyone for the fast shipping. Got way more tens than I was expecting. Nice. Nice, Luke. In your honest opinion, who do you think are the PSA's 2 biggest competitors? Ooh. Look, I'll answer first. SGC and CSG. Thank you for being fair. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not putting back in there.
So
the new labels notwithstanding, I'm not putting it there.
I'll definitely answer this. Not to me. If I had a choice to buy cards, obviously, even before I started with PSA, it'd be PSA number 1. I would take Beckett at number 2 over every other company all day long. I know.
Don't appease Eric.
No, that's just being sincere. If you laid out the cards and you had I take it over SGC, CSG, whatever, all the other companies. Beckett is my number 2, and I don't know if I'll ever switch off of that. So.
See, you're the problem. You're the reason we get away with just ordering more silver labels instead of actually fixing something. Yeah. It's Brad's fault, Luke. It's Brad's fault. Luke, do you have an opinion? Do you have an opinion on the next? For you, let's operate on the idea that PSA is the first one in our list here. But do you have an opinion for 2 and 3 and whatever closeness you want?
I think number 2 definitely for sure is Beckett. I mean, I agree with Brad on that. I mean, it was there before.
Guys, the guy's still alive and he's no longer at the company. You don't have to appease Dr. Beckett, who's not a real doctor because he can't write prescriptions. He's fine. He's sold out. He made a lot of money. We don't need to make him feel better.
Even from take away personal preference or whatever it is, I'm talking from a dollar value. Like if you had to pick from a card. So let's use a Connor McDavid Young Gun. Sure. Okay, you have the PSA 10. That's what, $4,500 right now.
I have no idea, but sure.
I'm going to say $4,500. What does a BGS 10 sell for? Probably similar to that.
Unless you're Brian Gray, you're not getting a BGS 10. You're getting a 9.5.
True. I won't get into all the. Yeah, I'm just.
And saying, the 9.5 is like 40%.
And no,
I think BGS 10 would be more.
The 9.5s are pretty bad, man.
Right.
Like the gap is pretty big now.
But what does an SGC 10 sell compared to a Beckett 9.5?
I think it's higher now. Compared, like it depends on the card. We'd have to run the numbers. I think that gap is either completely narrowed. I think SGC 10 is above a 9.5, don't forget you also have subgrades. So like not all 9.5s are created equal. So it's like it depends on the specific combination 9.5. But I think you're underestimating just how much Beckett has bled in the market. Like they're really bad right now.
Yep. No, I agree.
And I'm talking resale. I'm talking strictly resale. Like they've taken a lot of body blows. Beckett is if I want to buy the cheap one because I can buy the same card cheaper in that holder because it's in that holder. Because there's you guys and there's a certain subset of group who still hold them in esteem. Everybody else is like, yeah, Beckett, whatever. It's gotten quite bad on that one. There's Eric appreciating Josh. I appreciate that. I feel now's the correct time to ask the wonderful audience to smash the like button. Thank you, Josh. So I actually like your take, though. I like the fact that you both have a strong take. You're both wrong, but I enjoy the fact you have a strong take on this. I'll be wearing my GoPro this weekend to record some deals and showing tables in Halifax as to offer to upload on my Facebook. Love it. Good stuff. I like it.
Good job, Logan.
How do you guys feel about Fanatics putting signed base cards in Beckett slabs and selling them at a premium? See, the first mistake was Beckett slabs. They're Beckett style slabs, though. I think they've got like the custom Fanatic slabs. I think that's what is being referred to here. Right. I think you can do whatever you want if it's your marketplace. Like in all honesty, I think you can do whatever you wish. You're allowed, but it's one of those things. I wouldn't put a premium on it. I wouldn't pay the premium, but I also don't blame them for doing it. If you can get away with it, why not? Go for it. Anything you guys want to add on that one?
So SGC 10.
Is this for the Bedard? Is this for the Connor Bedard or which card?
No,
McDavid.
For the McDavid.
Okay.
SGC 10 just sold on auction for $2,100 US, which is about the same as BGS 9.5.
Yeah, so they're pretty close. Like it's very tight now between those two.
But
again, it'll depend on the card. There will be some variances, but just to be fair, there'll be some variances. But
I think SGC would be third because I think all the other companies, it's globally not recognized by them at all, really, with people, right? So I think that's why, like, I think Beckett is known all over the world as well. Same with PSA, right? Mm-hmm. But SGC maybe perhaps. I mean they've been around for a while and stuff like that, but all these other little companies and stuff like CSG and stuff like that, nobody knows that what they are in China.
No. Look, I'm not going to argue that
Mm.
I'm only putting I put CSG higher because, like I said, the level. It's not about brand recognition. I'm talking about like the biggest competitor. Beckett at this point is not even a competitor. I think they're basically and they're basically sinking themselves. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse because they've done nothing to make it better. It's just they're just there. When your big move is buy more silver labels, that's not going to do much for you. The next 5 counterfeit cards that come up that are like very expensive cards that are in counterfeit slabs, like, so you guys gonna fix the slab? Are you going to improve some service of it? Is there anything you plan to do to actually make this a better proposition as opposed to just more silver labels?
They moved a block down the road too.
Amazing. Sensation. This reminds me of the heady days of on my YouTube channel where I talked about COMSI. And their big move was, we bought a machine. We have a building you can see from space. And I was like, fantastic. Could you do something about the service that sucks? That would be wonderful. By the way, to their credit, eventually they did. And when they did, I gave them appropriate praise when they did. It's still not perfect, but it's better. The point is, COMSI eventually got better. Beckett has not gotten better. They've gotten worse.
Mhm.
It's still just as bad. Now, Sean makes a very valid point. Beckett is number 2 in hockey, which I think is true. I think in the other sports, like Beckett has taken an even bigger tumble. But in hockey, you're right. I think the hockey folks are a lot more forgiving about it. They're more willing to submit more cards for Beckett. I think it's interesting. I'd be curious what Beckett's breakdown on the sports is. I'd be curious to see, like, and also how that's changed over time. I'd be curious to see what that looks like. Because
they have
obviously
that-
I had the PSA Canada one. Go ahead.
And that huge, like the first Bowman autos, like I feel like that's a huge Beckett as well, going for the 10, like the 1010s, and I think that's a huge draw.
Absolutely. Now, there's some good comments here, so I'll try to get caught up on them here. Dave says, longer term, CSG has the financial resources to compete, but it stands as PSA's game to lose. I agree with that. And like I said, for me personally, I would love to see CSG get stronger because I think the competition is good. And like I said, again, we're talking about everything else. I'll submit cards to PSA. Obviously, Brad has my cards. So I submit cards and I use them and they work very well for me. Now, slab wise, I really like the CSG slab. I think it's a very solid slab. I like the design of it. I like that personally, the personal aesthetic thing. And I would have no qualms about having cards of that slab. I buy those cards. I buy cards of all these companies in those slabs. So I'd have no issue with them in that sense. But it's one of those things. I'd love to see a world where they're all competing. And even as much as I'm making fun of Beckett, I would love to see them competing. I would love to see them make that improvement because I think that'd be good. That'd be good for everybody because then I want CSG to be strong. I want Beckett to be strong. I want SGC to be strong and PSA to be strong because then we get competition and then the best of the best, the cream will rise to the top. And then guess what? Then we win. I think that'd be awesome. That sounds fantastic. But right now, that's just not it. And I'd love to see CSG get a little bit more because then that forces the other ones to compete a little bit more. And I think that's a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
In Pokemon, Beckett and PSA are neck and neck with CGC just a little behind. CGC has definitely made some moves as well. McDavid BGS 10 6K just sold on eBay. Yes. I like the look of the tag slabs. Too bad they had to change their grading ratings, but PSA will be number 1 for a long time. Damn, they had to change their grading ratings. That's what's doing them in. I have more comments, but I'll save those for Friday. SGC 10 did 2100 and a BGS 95 gem only did 1700. Baubles and ball cards. SGC bulk submitter with his information. McDavid SGC 10 2800 Canadian recent sales. There you go. A min gem only did 1300. And that's why I said though, min gem is important because the subgrades do make a difference. It can be huge difference between these two different levels. Very important. Jeff Jones, good evening. Submission percentage by category, PSA Canada 2022. Thank you, Sherry. I had the little picture that Sherry sent over as well, but here are the percentages broken down for folks that didn't catch it a little earlier, so that's good. Would that be in the gem rate data? I assume he's talking about when I asked about the Beckett breakdown. I'm not sure. Maybe. I have to see. I know they are collecting more data, so they've gotten much better at that. And I know with PSA they're pretty good about breaking down, but maybe they have it for the other companies as well, and that'd be good. Luke Brad, is there going to be a recession submission sale? The answer is no. Oh, actually, that's not true. The answer is they doubled the price and then they're cutting it 50% off for you. Recession? Come on. We did it. Any Scott Rowland submissions coming in? Luke Brad, what's your favorite Scott Rowland moment? Name a Scott Rowland moment. Look, here's the thing. Scott Rowland was a Blue Jay. I know this. This is true. He was a Blue Jay.
Yeah.
I barely remember that. Like I was watching the games when he was on. Like he was a very good player.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with him being in the Hall of Fame because he did accumulate the credentials, but I just feel like that was a really weak Hall of Fame class. And like Bonds and Clemens were not getting in. So with that understanding, I'm like, this class is pretty weak. I'm not super impressed with it. Billy Wagner was right up there. I'm like, Billy Wagner? This class kind of sucks. It's brutal. So Scott Rowland, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
There's no chance I can name my favorite Scott Rowland moment. But I did know he was a J. Obviously, I remember that, but I have no moments of Scott Rowland whatsoever.
He got 8 Gold Gloves. I think it was 8. So he was a pretty good defender.
Mm-hmm.
He won a World Series with, I want to say, St. Louis. That's probably a great moment. That's a good one. There you go. Luke, favorite Scott Rowland moment?
I have no idea who you guys are talking about.
Baseball Hall of Famer Scott Rowland. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Hockey's okay. Canada, great niche we have. Hockey's the most exciting sport we've watched in the last few years. Yep. Everyone have a good evening. Take it easy, Dave.
See you, Dave.
I did like we got a couple of controversial takes in there. I like that. You two holding it down for the Beckett boys. Eric's gonna be so happy with you.
I know Bobbles is in the chat, and again, I would highly recommend anyone that ever wants to submit SGC, go through Bobbles. They do a great job. He's always so nice with us, and I did not mean that as a slight towards Bobbles whatsoever, but I wish Bobbles was a PSA group submitter. So
there you go. Yeah, but it was a really weak class. It was a really weak class of hockey. Like, I'm not joking. I am a baseball guy, and I do know who Scott Rowland is. It's a really weak. Like, I got to go look at it again just to be like, am I forgetting something about Scott Rowland? Like, did I miss something? 360 home runs, 281 batting average. Okay, 2,000 hits. He's got 70 WAR.
That's your favorite stat.
That's great. Good to know. He was Rookie of the Year. He won the Gold Gloves, obviously. 7-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves, so I was right on that. There's nothing here that stands out at all.
Yeah.
He was good. He was good for a while. That's cool. Yeah. Wait, did I mention Billy Wagner was like in the top 3? Did I mention Billy Wagner? Wagner.
I don't understand it.
Great. Good to know. Y'all could have just voted for Bonds and Clemens, right? Y'all know you could have just done that. Steroids are not like, okay, look, Clemens is a jerk. No one likes Clemens anyway. Bonds, no, he's a jerk too. But Bonds was really, really good though. Like really, really good. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's scary. Anyway, no slight taken, Brad. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Lots of Gold Gloves. Yeah, like I said, 8 Gold Gloves is very impressive. That's strong. That's solid. Now, to be fair though, if we're talking Gold Gloves, and I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to give you guys bad info here. Andrew Jones was a 10-time Gold Glover. Now, to me, Andrew Jones, his batting average is low. That hurts him. But, like, Andrew Jones was really good. Like, when Andrew Jones was really good, he was excellent. In addition to being an excellent fielder, he also hit 50 home runs. Like, he had a lot of things going for him as well. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. And he led the league in home runs and RBI one year. And, like, that's pretty good. He was second in MVP voting that year. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, man. Like, just my standard on this is a little different. And here's another one that I'll throw at you. This is not like an official stat. There was only one time that Scott Rowland was ever in the top 5 in MVP voting for his entire career. One time. That doesn't seem great. It's okay.
Who has the most Gold Gloves?
I wonder if it would be somebody like Willie Mays.
Like, I just like to kind of figure where Scott Rowland was 7. Like, where does he fit in on that?
Because it was 8. It was 8.
It was 8. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, Andrew Jones had 10, and Willie Mays had 12. So that's pretty good. I'm not sure when they started the Gold Glove, but that's pretty good. It's a good question though. I like that. That's a good solid question. He was Matt Holliday, but with a glove. Fair. Brad, how come PSA Canada isn't on the side of the Halifax transit bus? That's a great use of funds. Put it on the side of a transit bus. Luke, could you get on that? Could you make sure there's an ad? Actually, you know what you should do? You should put an ad for Hobby Talk with PSA Canada on the side of the bus. That might be a better use of it.
Do you know one thing that we are going to do some marketing with, and it's just in the early stages, but the Ottawa Senators, and I didn't know this, anyone in the Ottawa area, but Upper Deck actually has a store in the arena. So it's the only one they have in North America, from what I understand. And they have an Upper Deck store there. So I should remember his name, I can't think of it right now, reached out to me from the Ottawa Senators, and with the new ownership group there and the potential new rink coming, he wondered if we'd be able to do something maybe along with the release of a up and coming young hockey player that was mentioned earlier in the chat, for us to do something set up as PSA Canada at the game, taking submissions, etc. So we are working on some of that direct marketing, not on the side of a transit bus.
Yep. Looks like the guys are, and Bobbles is confirming this. Greg Maddux with the most gold gloves, 18.
18.
Yeah. Because it's by position. So you can win a gold glove based on the position you're in. Right. So what happens is, each of the positions has a gold glove. Greg Maddux was a very good fielder as a pitcher. So it's one of those things where, that worked out. It was kind of interesting. But yeah, 18 gold gloves. Like, honestly, that would be right up there. Like Willie Mays. Willie Mays was a top tier guy at 12 gold gloves. And he played, Willie Mays played center field, one of the most difficult positions to win. Now imagine, though, could be considered like a gold level player with like 0 gold gloves. Could you imagine how terrible that would be? How horrible that would be? That would make you like the second best Fish last name guy that played for the Angels. 0 gold gloves. None. Just throwing it out there. Just in a 4-way tie with people on this live stream without many gold gloves.
So there is a gold glove too. There's a gold glove for every position. So would it be right-handed pitchers, left-handed pitchers, closers?
Well, right-handed pitchers, left-handed pitchers are not different positions. That's right, still a pitching position.
So there's only 2 pitchers.
I think so.
Every year.
I don't think a reliever gets one. I think pitcher just in general is the gold glove.
So
I have to double check, but I think it's picture.
That's pretty crazy stat then for Greg Maddux. They have 18.
But it indicates that like clearly he was head and shoulders above the other guys at fielding his position, because he just won it perennially most of the years of his career, which is solid. That's strong.
He must have been like a goalie. You know what I mean? Like nothing got by Greg Maddux. Like any line drive, to keep that for 18 years. That's a great stat.
Greg was fundamentally sound though. Like if you think of look, Greg Maddux did certain things that nobody's going to do right. He's going to do now. Like it's crazy. I'll have to see. Let me quickly grab a couple of these here. Roland is a borderline Hall of Famer. That's really the indication I'm getting from looking at this. Mostly for his defense, which fair enough. But like I said, I don't think it was that transcendent. But like I'll give it to him. Look, at the end of the day, whatever, he got voted in. McGriff is a real Hall of Famer this year. Yes, to me, Fred McGriff makes a lot of sense. The Baseball Hall of Fame and YouTube Hall of Fame, Hall's very good at this point. Yes, apparently. PSA Canada needs a mascot. I know a guy. Logan's lobbying for all the things. I like this. You can say Connor Bedard out loud. There you go. Yeah. Wazmantle, the GOAT of baseball cards. Didn't think Maddux pitched that long. Oh, Maddux pitched a long time. Maddux pitched, what was it?
He came in 86. His rookie was 87.
Seasons. Yeah, he pitched for 23 seasons. But the key for Maddux, 355 wins. Nobody is coming within a country mile of that. Not the way that pitching is today. Pitchers struggle to get to 20 wins. And Maddux did it automatically for years. Like he was right up there with it. Well, actually, I should say he actually had, I think he only had a handful of 20-win seasons, but then it was like 16 wins, 19 wins, 15 wins, 19 wins, 18 wins. It was just constant win. And for such a period of time, that's tough to do. Jordan Dumas has more points than Bedard in CHL points this year, but no one ever talks about him. I don't know who that is, but I believe you.
He's a Halifax Moosehead.
Excellent. You had me at Moosehead. We're not talking about the beer, are we? That's unfortunate.
But that is where the name came from. But they dropped it after. Yeah, the original was Harold McKay started the Mooseheads and with a group of investors, and it's an interesting story. Actually, two friends of mine still own a percentage of the Halifax Mooseheads right from the very beginning. I think it was like maybe 4% or 5% each. They all bought. They've hung on to it all this time.
I like it. Wasn't Greg Maddux or Tom Glavine drafted by an NHL team? Tom Glavine was drafted by the LA Kings. Fair enough, Luke. I think that's right. I know that's correct. I know that he was drafted is correct. I just don't know what the team was. But I'll take Luke at his face value. He induced a lot of soft contact, so his fielding numbers were probably high on weight hits and bunts. With Maddox, I can believe that. That makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because he was so good at his pitching craft that but look, here's the thing: if that's the case, then he's not going to make it many. He's not going to make many errors. So it means he's going to be about as solid as it comes.
So Tom Glavine was drafted into the NHL. I did not know that. That's something
I knew that there was a thing with Tom Glavine with that. Like, that sounds right to me. Let's see, drafted NHL. I will confirm that right now, but I think that's right.
I never knew that.
Who drafted Tom Glavine in NHL draft? Los Angeles Kings, yeah. Drafted in the 4th round, 69 overall. In the 1984 draft.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because he's an athlete. He was an athlete. Like I said, both those guys when you look at them, it's like they're kind of weird. You know, they're these pitchers and this kind of. It's like, but both guys have athletic talent. Like, they're actually good, really good at what they do. Luke Brad, any Harold Ballard submissions after recent argument. Sometimes I wonder though, like even Hockey claims he's not trolling. Is this even remotely a serious question? Who gives a crap to submit Harold Ballard cards? Like, even in jest.
Does he even have any cards?
I'm sure there is one. I'm sure they stuck one somewhere.
I don't think he I think that where he does have a card is that 83 postcards. Remember, they were put out by the Bay or the Hudson Bay. I forget the proper name of them. Those, I think he does have one in that, but that's his only card. No.
So there you go. Not a big influx. We're not getting a big Harold Ballard, influx. Not so much. That's unfortunate. Very sad.
0.
So now we've learned that Scott Rowland is a very borderline Hall of Famer. I didn't realize just how borderline it was, and the more I look it up, the more disturbed I am by it. And actually, to be clear, I believe that the big takeaway that I have from this is, as I said, Scott Rowland has 70 WAR, which proves that once and for all, WAR is garbage. Like what the hell is this? This is supposed to be the big argument. Like, that's it? That's all you got? Oh man, brutal, heinous, yikes. This is a very sad bombshell. I'm not pleased with this. This makes me very upset. I was almost as disturbed as Brad and Luke being the Beckett Defense Force. It's just terribleness, awful. It's like the body's dead. It's in decay, and y'all are like, "Hey, he's spry. He's just resting." It's like, no, it's dead. It's dead. Look at it. I don't know, guys. Luke, I think we can start winding her down, Brett. I think we've had a good show. We had some fun tonight. I think we learned about Tom Glavine to confirm that, so that was good. We taught something there. So look at here. Why do you think there is little baseball and basketball submissions compared to hockey? Well, we're in Canada, and basketball is actually pretty strong. Like, in that breakdown, basketball is actually surprisingly strong.
Yeah.
Canada would lead you to believe it's a big basketball card lovers. Why? Based on social media? Come on, social media is not real world. That's adorable. Doug, Ballard is also in Toronto team postcards. Yeah. 17 cards in total. Thank you, Doug. Interesting. And in the game, apparently. In the game, had some Ballard cards.
I love that Doug just pulled that one out of there. That's great.
Hey, look, somebody's got to know the answer. I put the question out of the universe. Someone's got to know the answer to it. I know a lot of things about a lot of things, but I'm not going to pretend to have the market on Harold Ballard cards cornered. I don't know the answer to that question. Can't even pretend. I wouldn't be surprised if Harold Ballard had a 1990 Pro Set card. That would be an interesting call out. Not bad. All right, I'm going to leave Hockey 99 with his random names. Anyway, a pleasure chatting with all of you, as always, in the chat. Thank you all for your comments, and appreciate it. By the way, if anybody checks it out on replay, you can always leave a comment in the comments section. If there's questions to that, the PSA Canada folks can go and check it out and give responses to it. If there's something topic-wise you want on the show. A lot of times, like I said, we're going to try to plan out some of these to have some themes to some of these shows so that we can have already a couple of topics preset. We don't want to just rely on Jason Robertson pumps and Scott Rowland evaluations. although, honestly, I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't even know, and now I do. So now I can denounce the regular Hall of Fame as much as I do the YouTube Sports Card one. This is great. This is great for me. I appreciate it. Rowland set a personal record for RBIs in a game with 7 and a 14-7 win against the San Francisco Giants, hitting 2 home runs. love it. Oh, I have comments. I bet you do. And you know what? Here helps fund these comments and fuel them. The like button.
Yes.
Y'all hit the like button. Eric appreciates it. It fuels his rage for the comments. We're going to have some discussions on that, but that'll be on the Friday show. Exactly, Josh. Exactly. All right, folks. Thank you all for hanging out. Appreciate you as always. We'll be back next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Same bad channel. Thank you all. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep making a push towards getting the subscriptions up. And then, like I said, we'll have some themes coming up. I want to start sharing with you ahead of time as also. If there's some themes that we'll know ahead of time. And if we get any guests, I also want to let you know ahead of time. We'll start planning that out as well. Otherwise, thank you all. Have a great evening. We'll catch you in the next one.